none of us know what's going on.
Right.
And we're all trying to make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
Every single ego on this planet is trying to prove that it's separate, solid, and continuous and put up masks and projections to try to maintain itself. There's so much pain in that, huh?
Mm.
And like just resting in the enormity of that pain is like, whew, like that is big.
Mm.
That's a lot of work that we do.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to The Crack Between the Worlds. I'm Mark Wald, and my partner in time today is actually a family member. She's my wife's cousin, somebody I've been getting to know over the last 10 years who I only get snippets of time with her, but they're always really deep and really wonderful. So we're actually going to get some time for us to dive into stuff we're really interested in today. Her name is Quincee Lark. She's an artist. She just finished her degree in psychology here in Portland at Lewis and Clark, and now she's studying in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And you're taking you're getting your degree in counseling.
Yeah, counseling and art therapy.
Counseling and art therapy. And so, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we've had lots of interesting conversations.
Yeah.
We never get a chance to actually sit down alone together and talk about this stuff that we're so fascinated with.
Yeah, I'm delighted.
And so, Quincee, you first of all, you and I about a year ago started talking about doing podcasts.
Yeah.
And so here I am doing mine, but you started yours actually before I did. And I would love for you to just share what that is.
Totally. So I started my podcast this time last year, actually. It's called the Visionseed podcast. And the concept is honestly quite kindred to the Crack Between Worlds in some ways. I want to talk to people in the void, in the dark. So we go in blindfolded and have these beautiful conversations with artists or people who have a creative practice or process. And we talk about their process as it relates to their body through the energy centers, aka chakras, going from the root all the way up to the crown. And it does kind of take on this therapeutic tone in a lot of cases. And people exit that space feeling like, oh, I kind of understand my art practice better once I've linked it to my somatic experience. And so that's the podcast. And then that's kind of just one node of a larger project, which is Visionseed. And that's, a project that I started last year to help artists and those aspiring to be artists and get in touch with their creativity to do so using somatic tools. So the breath and the body. And I have a particular interest in Kundalini yoga for that reason. So And
so this is one of the reasons why you and I love sitting down and getting an opportunity to talk, because my initial foray into this work was energy work.
Yeah.
So then I took another 4-year training in body-centered therapy. And so you and I we have a similar, even though somewhat different, a similar perspective on this kind of material.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking just the other day. We decided to do this here. And we were talking the other day, and one of the things that excited me was before you came back here to join us for this, you were in a retreat.
Yeah.
And it was a silent meditation retreat. And I've done like a 1 day, 24-hour weekend kind of retreat like this.
Good.
But I'm curious, like what your experience was.
Yeah. So this was my second silent retreat. The first one that I did was 2 years ago in Thailand. And gosh, it was challenging, deeply challenging, of course. Anyone who's done a silent retreat or Vipassana can tell you that it's, as much as it is beautiful, it is challenging. And there was something that I touched on that first retreat, I will share about this most recent one as well, that feels important, which was around like the third or fourth day. Without the construct of language, the concept of self just automatically starts to kind of fray or dissolve, and there is an ego panic that happens. And kind of fraying of reality in some ways as we know it, as we are conditioned to see it through the vehicle of an ego and of limited self. So around that fourth day, I felt that, like, frankly, it's a terror. It feels like terror.
This happened in both retreats?
So this happened in the first retreat. And the second retreat, I went in curious, okay, I'm kind of anticipating that this will come up.
Mm-hmm.
How has my concept of self changed? Or how am I maybe more or less equipped to handle the upwelling of this? We call it a Klesha attack, which is sort of a mental affliction, an attack of a mental affliction.
Mm-hmm.
So the Klesha attack did come up again this past retreat. I was walking in the woods. I was in between sessions. Beautiful, expansive forest up in Goldendale, Washington. Really windy, and there are cougars. I was like, the Klesha attack came, and the story was, you're going to lose your mind. And the ego's response to that story, you're going to lose your mind, was like death grip. Like, no, I'm not. And the terror of that.
It's like having a psychotic break. The fear is, I'm going to have a psychotic break.
Absolutely.
I'm going to disconnect and there won't be anything left and I'll need to be in a hospital.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's funny, even that same day, the lamas were sharing in their Dharma talk, there's not a psych ward for Buddhas. And they say, Buddha can still catch a bus. Which is to say that an awakened being, or a being who's achieved realization that they are already awakened, can both function in relative reality as well as ultimate reality at the same time. But the ego doesn't want you to know that, right? Like, it wants to maintain its total control.
Right.
Total control.
It believes it's real. It believes one thing that most people don't understand is if you head down the path towards awakening and enlightenment, the you that starts down that path doesn't know it doesn't get to finish the journey.
Yeah.
Because the ego is saying, I want to become enlightened.
Yeah.
I want to become awakened. It's a big part of the desire to do this. In fact, if it isn't the ego doing that, if you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't need to become enlightened or awakened.
Exactly.
So it's fascinating that the ego gets itself down this path that suddenly goes, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. So and when you pose it in that way, there's actually something really funny there. And the Klesha attack did end with laughter for me. It was kind of this moment of recognizing, and I'm going to quote someone, Nyapa Chogyam. He wrote this amazing book called Rainbow of Liberated Energy. Is the name of the book. Also wrote Spectrum of Ecstasy. Really cool, like kind of mystical Tibetan Buddhist tantric master. And there was something that I read that kind of broke me out of the Klesha attack, which was from the point of view of limited self, emptiness feels like terror. But from the point of view of the liberated self, emptiness feels like the light. And so I started to ask myself, like, in what way is letting this limited self rest kind of delightful? And something started to kind of come together there. And what I did with the terror that I felt, actually, when I got back to my cushion after this walk through the woods, was like, instead of trying to shoot another arrow into it, we have this idea of the second arrow in Buddhism, where it's like, you have the afflictive emotion, that's arrow number 1. And then you have your judgment or opinion about the afflictive emotion, and that's arrow number 2, and it drives the arrow even deeper into you.
Right.
So I sat and I like looked at my terror, and I just made more space for it. Which I'm sure, is something that you do in your practice all the time. We can even think about this through like an IFS lens of parts work, right? Like, that terrified part isn't me. That's just an appearance in my limitless, already liberated awareness. So I'll make more space for it and kind of start to untangle from it or unbind. So I made more space for the terror. And and really started to see it not as my essence. But you know how it is with the afflictive emotion. You think it's your whole.
That's right.
It starts to feel like it's the frame instead of the appearance on the screen, right? It's like it's so deeply blended into you.
That's right.
So that's kind of the experience with the Klesha attack.
I love that, most of the people that I've talked to who've had that happen to them, it was using like medicines.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a great way to get to the point where you're going to dissolve the ego. And it can be both terrifying and delightful. But I'm glad to hear a story come in this room about somebody who has this experience without the use of medicines. Because I want people to know medicines are not a requirement on this journey at all. Right?
Absolutely.
So.
And I will say, I've had that experience with medicine too. And it was more on the terror side than it was on the delight side. Because I felt at that point I was under-equipped in terms of my practice of presencing such big emotions. So I would say, given the choice between confronting emptiness or no self through medicine versus through meditation, I felt better equipped through meditation than I did being thrown into the deep end with an ayahuasca ceremony. And that I'm not saying like don't do medicine.
Right.
I'm so grateful for medicine work, but I felt way more equipped having a tradition, a lineage, a framework, and like mentors, like to go speak to about this experience.
Right. I have a question for you. Actually, I have a ton of questions.
Okay. Start anywhere.
So then the first question I wanted to ask was, what do you think the ego is? What is that?
Yeah. My concept of this is evolving, and I'm expecting that it will continue to do that for the rest of my time on this planet and any incarnation I take on any other planet or this planet next. It's so hard to talk about the non-dual because we have to use the language of duality to talk about the non-dual. But I'm starting to see, and beyond see, feel more and more that my ego is not separate from the emptiness of pure being. It is part and parcel, and it is made up of that emptiness, that luminous emptiness. So kind of imagining it as like, when you close your eyes and you can kind of perceive a little bit of light or a little bit of movement, like that's ego. It's like this appearance in the luminous emptiness that is part and parcel, is made up of that. And I think the issue we face with the ego is we start to think that like appearance in the emptiness is us. Like that is what we are.
So what's the difference between ego and self? Actually, before that, what is self?
So I think self is, wow.
Is self real?
So I think self is pure luminous awareness. And when we are in self, we are connected to everyone and everything in all times and in all realms. That is self. And ego is an appearance in the field of self. All of the separate entities, all of the forms are appearances in self. Let's just call it self. You can also call it Buddha nature or awakened mind or emptiness. Like that is what we really are. We are just that pure, unconditioned space. So that's what I'm coming to understand as self. I think my answer would have been different even a year ago. Perhaps I would have said, I was more interested in maybe the internal family systems model of self, where it was like, self is the version of you that like is, aligned, connected, and is God, like kind of God self. And I still think that that's rather true, but I now see it as a less individualistic capital S self and a more universal space of unfolding. Does that make sense? I'm trying my best.
No, you're doing great.
The language is so tricky with it.
And it's hard to pin something down that's so ephemeral. It's so...
Yeah.
we're not even really sure that any of this is real.
I know.
So it's hard to talk about it in that way.
Yeah.
So then when you were having that experience, there's a moment when you're out in the woods walking and you get scared.
Yeah.
Okay. And you feel that in your body.
Yeah.
And it's not just scared, you feel terrified.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're losing your sense of yourself.
Yeah.
It's like dying.
Totally.
Right? It's like if you go through death, at some point, you're not there anymore in that same way. Whatever the self is in the body, whatever it becomes, it's not the same thing on some level. Perception changes. Oh, a great analogy that I want to give about that, based on what you were saying also, is like, so you ever use GPT or something like that?
More than I care to admit.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a tool. It's a tool and you use it, right?
Yeah, it's a cool. Yeah.
And so when it's helping you, right, it feels like we're in a relationship with something and it understands us and it's assisting us and it's doing something. Is that chat GTP? What is that individual chat GPT that is working with us in that moment relative to the big concept? Because it's all just this thing. It's all just this process. It's this huge process, kind of like we think of as the Buddha nature or consciousness, right? It's this huge process, and yet it shows up in an individual form in moments. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
To serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Is that like self?
So as an artist, I see a lot of things visually behind my closed eyes before I can really put words to them. So I'll tell you what I'm seeing. It's almost as if this radiant, sparkling, like luminescent field of darkness, which is Buddha nature or self or mind, is like threading itself through individual souls. So it comes into an organism, whether that organism is ChatGPT or a dog or a jellyfish or a Mark or a Quincee, and it like kind of threads itself through that perspective.
Why?
Well, because it's fun.
It's just fun.
I think that from, and this is going into like kind of a different tradition, but I'll indulge myself. But when we think about like Shiva nature, when we think about the deity of Shiva, it's just like pure stillness, like emptiness, darkness. I think at some point, like the play of the universe is such that it like desires to see itself move and to witness itself through a bunch of different perspectives and a bunch of different eyes. So like in comes like Shakti, life force energy, the movement, so that we can like really appreciate the nature of the constant movement of the dance of the Maya. It's like, why not take billions of individual various forms and just like see the way it all plays out?
So this is close to my perspective.
Okay.
I think we've talked about this, but I have a way of seeing this as a dreaming process. That the Buddha nature, this whatever you want to call that, to me it is just pure consciousness. And so I just call it consciousness. And it makes up everything in duality. And duality can exist without consciousness. And in the way we perceive things, consciousness cannot exist without duality.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that everything in this illusion of, because it's an illusion, the self, you're an illusion under the way you described it a minute ago. It's just this consciousness or Buddha nature is coming through, and there's a Quincee there and it's having an experience, but is Quincee really real?
Wow. So yeah, I mean, and that's the question that comes up in the forest that makes me terrified.
Right, exactly.
Is Quincee really real?
Right. And so let me just finish.
Please.
So in the dreaming process then, just like when you have a dream at night, let's pretend that you're dreaming right now. It's nighttime, you're lying in bed, you're having this dream, and you and I are having this conversation, and I'm talking, and you're wondering what I'm going to say next, but who's talking?
Well, of course, if I'm dreaming and there's a dialogue between me and another person, it's all me dreaming it.
It's all you, right?
Yeah.
And in the dream, there's this illusion of separation.
Yeah.
There's an illusion of me over here as somebody other than you that's having this thing, and everything in your dream feels real. Okay. And to me, that's the same analogy that I would use for consciousness.
Yeah.
We are all pieces of consciousness, right? That we're just having this experience. I don't think it's just for fun. I think it's because consciousness is evolving. That consciousness is having awareness and experience that it couldn't have outside of duality. But that's just my perspective.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying this is...
There's a lot of resonance
Right,
there.
Right.
I really resonate with the dreaming aspect.
Right.
I guess what I'm not so sure about, or I'm maybe still exploring, is like this idea that consciousness itself wants to evolve and expand more.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not sure.
Right. Me either.
Because
I've said this in previous conversations. Just like the mythology in my religion, if you want to call it that, is that consciousness wants to evolve.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I'm like, and then the question that comes up for me is like, how can something that is unconditioned, unborn, never arising, never ceasing, consciousness, Buddha nature, where does it have to go? Like.
This is why
can it really evolve?
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what we call evolution. But if we do know that consciousness or Buddha nature did create this, and it isn't to evolve, what did it create it for?
Yeah.
So that's the sort of logic that I get to why I like the dreaming concept. I feel like I am evolving. I feel like you are on a process of evolution, clearly, as you talk about all this. So we're both here trying to trying to challenge and evolve and wake up in this process, not be sleepwalking through life. Okay.
To remember. Yeah.
And so here you are going to this retreat. You do deep meditation work with the goal of what?
I really love the way that teachers in this lineage put it. We are already completely causelessly enlightened already. And there are layers of forgetting, layers of story that are wrapped around that, are containing that pure state of consciousness.
And you want that.
And I want that.
Pure state of consciousness.
Well, I am that. And I sit in meditation to remember that and to create more space for myself to hold and recognize ultimate and relative reality simultaneously as one thing.
What is that self that you just mentioned? What is that?
Can you clarify your question?
Yeah, well, you just said that something about the self, so the self can hold it in. What is that?
Yeah, I suppose just the individual. I'm stumped, I actually think.
Well, I think this is.
It's so good to be in these lines of inquiry.
Right?
I am stumped.
Yeah, we don't even know really if there is a self.
Yeah.
So when we get to the point where we're letting go of ego, it's scarier than just letting go of the ego.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And as science and philosophy continues to try to understand what the self is, what we're learning is there isn't the thing that we think is the self. There isn't a coherent self there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how many times have you said yes to something and later on said, why did I say yes to that? I don't have time, or I got too much, or right? Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
And so there's this something else happening here, where you didn't make the choice on some level. Another process did. And so what is the conscious self, right? What is that? Is it even real? My answer to the question is there a self? Absolutely. Is it an illusion? I think so, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it's an illusion.
What a beautiful illusion. It's like this amazing vehicle.
Right.
Amazing vehicle. And I'm so grateful to have it. But I know it's not mine forever, or it's not permanent, or it's not mine at all. It is just that appearance. But yeah, wild. But so glad that we decided to, or whatever decided to come down into form and experience itself in individuals and planet and environment and all of the millions of different species on this planet, and who knows what else is beyond. Like, that didn't have to happen.
Right. And we still want to make up a mythology about what that is and why it's happening and what it's about. Right?
Yeah.
Because we need something to make sense of this. This is why religion is so important.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, whatever religion you choose, I think it's just important to have some way to make sense of this.
Totally. And it's all just a guess.
Yeah.
They're all just best guesses. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the butts of the cosmic joke. It's like, I don't know.
Right. So let's sit with that for a minute. Okay. I want to ask you to just sit with for a minute the place inside of you and really let go of trying to find an answer and just be with, I don't know. I don't know what the self is. I don't know if I'm real. And see what that feels like. Where do you feel this in your body? And what comes up for you?
Yeah, so there's two things. The first is like this upwelling in the throat. Wants to like cry out and claim selfhood.
Right.
Wants to cry out and say like, no, damn it. Like,
I'm real.
I know who I am. I'm real.
I love that.
So
it's so good. I love that. I know that place really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel that, and it's kind of like this girdle of the throat. It's like, and now that I'm a little bit more familiar with that one, that terror, that upwelling, that cry out that wants to happen, I feel space around it. I feel the liberation, or the like, dare say, like the light or ecstasy of all of the room that's around that feeling. Which is, to me, progress. Yeah. Because it used to be like that was
progress.
the whole...
What is progress?
The way that I've been conceptualizing it recently, or the way that Quincee, limited story Quincee, has been conceptualizing progress, is an ability to hold more and more paradox more of the time, and create more space for multiple things to be true at once. And then also to say, I don't know, and have that not be scary. That's
the thing, is like, even when you're not in a deep meditation practice, or you're not on a wild ayahuasca experience, right? That you can just be with that fear that's always there. Because on some level, even when we have these moments of pure awareness, it's elusive. And we go back and we're like, how do I build my podcast? And we're making progress, and we're trying to get somewhere. We are in this dream, having this experience, and it's hard to step out of that. Yeah. So the ego is involved in all of this, right? And I have different perspective on the ego. I love your sort of like from behind the scenes, behind the curtain version of the ego. And mine is the front of the curtain version, which is, this is the strategy that I have come up with. This is the mask that I wear based on my childhood and what I went through and who I was raised by and the things that I went through. I learned that being this person is the one that works best. And I have an idealized self-image of what that should be, which I will never be able to achieve, right? And so the ego is constantly trying to compare it to that.
Yeah.
And what makes it so unstable is that, or that it's not coherent, is that we can't maintain that. And so every time we do something that doesn't maintain that, we do something to not let ourselves see that we're out of line. We rationalize and justify, oh, that person did this, so that's why something. There's always a way we rationalize, justify, judge, blame, or go into confusion to protect the ego, which is not stable, it is not coherent, it is always switching around. And for us to somehow become awake to that, right? You doing okay?
No, I am. I'm just, the compassion wing is coming in for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So then my perspective on this journey is I am trying to become as awake as possible. Somehow there is this me that maybe was born pure consciousness, came into this world, fairly pure conscious. We have DNA. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. But on some level, I'm just like 5 senses taking in everything, right? And then slowly these things start happening to me and I start deciding, oh, I have to be this to be good. I have to do this or I'll get hit. I have to do this and then I'll get attention. We start becoming this mask and this thing, okay? And the thing that gets lost in that process is sort of the authentic self. And that's the thing that's hard to find. And it is, on some level, related to the big
self.
Grand consciousness. Yeah. But somehow being here in itself is also important.
Yeah. Yeah. They're, mirrors of one another.
Yeah.
And indistinguishable in some ways. Yeah. I was like clutching my chest, right? Because they say like the two wings of the Dharma, or the two wings that fly that bird are wisdom and compassion. And I feel like we've been talking about like the theoretical, conceptual, like what is consciousness? Okay, great to theorize.
Right.
Great to go down that rabbit hole and chat about it and try to put our finger on something that we're never going to be able to put our finger on. That's the wisdom, right? That's the investigation. But the other wing is compassion.
Right.
Which is realizing like, okay, like every other human person on this planet is caught up in the same sorts of contractions and like issues of mind and heart and spirit and like is in suffering with us. And yeah, you just reminded me of that. Of like, okay, none of us know what's going on. Right. And we're all trying to make sense of it. Every single ego on this planet is trying to prove that it's separate, solid, and continuous and put up masks and projections to try to maintain itself. There's so much pain in that, huh? And like just resting in the enormity of that pain is like, like that is big. That's a lot of work that we do to try to like, uphold. Yeah. And so there's the compassion piece. It's like, can I just be present with that great one suffering? Like if we could take up all the sufferings of all of the beings and all of the 3 times and all of the realms and just like hold it as like one thing and and that's ours too. Like, wow.
And the suffering is important in duality.
Yeah.
Because without it, you wouldn't have experience.
Yep. Yeah.
And so we've been talking a lot about the concept of self from the perspective of ego dissolution was sort of like the beginning of this conversation. And then if ego dissolves, what is that and what is self? And I wanted to add a little story actually to that.
Yeah.
When I first started down this path, it was, I mean, I had never done therapy. I had not done any real work. I had been reading and studying all kinds of, like the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Quran. I've read so many of these things like 30, 40, 50 years ago. But it was still my ego on the journey. I hadn't had any real guidance. I hadn't had any real, and I went into this really feeling like I think the me that wanted to be special, wanted to succeed at this. So after being on that journey for a while, I started to discover the concept of the dark night of the soul, which is terrifying. If anybody ever tells you they had some kind of a dark night of the soul and they tell it like a little story, they don't know what the dark night of the soul is. It's kind of like what you experienced at that moment in the forest that you were describing, where everything kind of collapses and crashes. Everything that you think is you is now the joke of it and the falseness of it. Everything shows up right there in front of you, and you're just it kills you. It's quite an experience. And part of my journey was the Toltec tradition. Are you familiar with that at all?
Very slightly. Is the Four Agreements based on Toltec?
It is, yeah. And so it's a whole deeper process, and I really like it because it sort of borrows from all the different, like it's like the best of Buddhism and the best of this, and it's really quite good. But part of the journey that I was on was to let go of being connected with consensus reality. So consensus reality, just to state it, is that everything that you and I agree is real. Everything that the world agrees is real. And there's different versions of that. There's like cultural consensus realities, etc. But we all agree on, without even knowing we've agreed. We've agreed that the meaning of life is, on some level, to get it to get better, to move forward, to maybe get an education and have relationships, maybe have kids and have a job and retire. And there's this whole thing that reality has become for us, along with, so in more broader terms, the meaning of life. What is the self? These kinds of things. So when I was practicing, I had a period of time of about 1.5 years where it was quite chaotic, but I started to try and divorce myself from consensus reality.
Ooh.
And in that process, I would go into my therapist, and thank God he had the wherewithal to just sit with me and hold this, because I would come in sometimes saying, I feel sometimes like I need to just check myself in. Like I feel like I'm going to lose it. And I would feel like this for like days and weeks because one of the definitions of insanity is to not agree with consensus reality. Yeah. If you don't agree with consensus reality, you look crazy.
Yeah.
So you can flip that the other way around and go, you're going to go crazy if you divorce yourself from consensus reality. And that's kind of what I discovered in that process. I think it was incredibly useful, but it didn't get me to the place I thought I was going to go. And so I realized, God, this is going to be hard. I didn't know if I wanted to go this deep. It got me to a place where I really had to look at my ego differently. Because I was really trying to do it all on my own, all by myself, and I don't need anybody else, and I can just divorce myself from consensus reality, and I'm good. And on some level, I'm sure I felt I was going to be better than everybody else doing this. So, right?
Yeah.
So I got to look at all that. I got to see all of that really clearly, and coming back into consensus reality, I had a lot more humility, and now, instead of trying to divorce myself from consensus reality, I want to realize the illusion that it is and spend more time in what is called non-ordinary reality. It's kind of what I teach, and I teach in this process here about seeing everything as a dreaming process or seeing the illusion that it is. And when you see it from that perspective, the rules of reality change.
Wow. Who wouldn't want some of that?
Right, right. I think so.
Not a complete break with reality,
Right.
which we characterize as insanity, but an ability to hold it as like relative and in some ways malleable. And yeah. I like that. It's not either or.
Yeah.
Either you're in or you're out.
Yeah. Right.
It's flexible.
It is.
Yeah.
It was a great exploration of my ego doing all of that. This has been incredible. And I kept learning every step of the way that the ego is the one who wants to do this journey. And I have to find some way to finally face that in a big way, really look at it. And I'm not saying that I'm egoless. I don't even believe in enlightenment. Okay. I don't think it's possible to become enlightened in the true sense of that word. But to be as awake as possible and to not let my unconscious and my ego run the show all the time. That's enough of a goal for me. And that's what I learned in that process. And then I come back to, so then who am I if I'm not that? If I'm not the ego, if I'm not this person who's trying to make progress, if I'm not this person who's trying to get better or get more or whatever it is we're trying to do, then who the heck am I? What is this? Why am I here? What is the meaning of life? And those are questions we kind of like, not that you're laughing about that, but we kind of laugh off. Like it's like we imagine, somebody going up to the top of the hill, the mountain to meet the guru and say, what's the meaning of life, master? Right? And then he gets hit with a stick or something. But it's really a great question that I live with all the time.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, so how do you live with that question?
I think I just kind of perhaps gave away my answer to that question through my laughter.
Yeah.
The absurdity of it is more than I will ever be able to wrap my brain around. And so at some point I do just laugh. And that was a really beautiful moment of the retreat, going to this past week. Going to one of the lamas and telling them about this affliction attack, this Klesha attack that I had. And in the process of telling it, it's just so absurd that I was almost crying laughing.
Right.
Because I could never, how could I ever figure it out? It's not meant, that's not the point. So living with that question for me is just having a good sense of humor most of the time. And accepting that there's kind of no knowing.
So what is the meaning of life for you?
The meaning of life for me is using the precious vessel of my body and of my Quincee hood to experience the full range of human life. And to do so through creating. I think being in resonance or in harmony with the energy of creation is what I am here for. And when I say that, when I say the energy of creation, that can take a spectrum of amazing forms. That can be painting, that can be cooking, that can be the creation of a relationship, that can be the creation of a family. But to be in creation and in co-creation with other beings, to me, that's what I'm here for. And who knows what's next? That could change. That answer is constantly evolving.
Speak a little more. This is great. So let's shift the conversation.
Sure.
What is the purpose of creation from that perspective?
The purpose of creation.
Yeah. When you say that, that's how you express yourself in the world, and it's sort of the meaning of life for you, creation.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. I know I'm misquoting or not going to get this perfectly right.
I do that all the time here.
Okay, great. We can misquote.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Rumi, the Sufi mystic poet, and this idea of like the dancer and the dance becoming indistinguishable. And to me, that is why creation is so important, because it is that space in which, specifically when we're in like the brain state of like flow, where the boundary between us and the divine is so thin as to be indistinguishable. And that is such a blissful state of being. And of course, then the whole thing comes in of the ego wants to chase that blissful state of being over and over again,
right? Almost
as like an addiction cycle. So that's another absolutely beautiful rabbit hole that we could go down. But to be in creation is to feel that sense of unity with all that is. And I think another big piece of it for me is as a mirror. They say like as above, so below, as within, so without. So whatever I create, whether that's like a painting or a meal, is sort of like a reflection of what's going on inside of me, and allows me to maybe see things that I wasn't able to see or able to verbalize in language, right? I think that's, what makes art so miraculously healing. There's such a power there, because there's so much we can't touch with our cognitive capacity that we can with our expressive capacity. So yeah.
So then would you say, first of all, I love what you're saying, right? I really understand and relate, because creativity is a part of the process that I have in my life. Mine comes out differently than yours does. It expresses itself differently, but you're, on some level, that is what you came here to express. Whatever that is you. If it's, let's just say it's just that you're responsible for, this is your karma. You're responsible for this thing, this vessel, and the energy within it and the consciousness within it. That's what you're responsible for. And that you're here to bring that into consciousness, to express it, to move. And the best way that that you experience doing that makes sense to you on some level, is through art and creativity. And it's really meaningful to you. And I think that's really important, as much as we don't know if there is any, we don't even know what the meaning of life is. We laugh at that question. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But on some level, having a meaning, having a purpose is meaningful. It's somehow, and it also means we have to do our little wrestling match with the ego.
Of course.
But and we can come back to that, as you said.
Yeah.
But what's really important is what you're saying is that this is how you find meaning. This is how you express meaning.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that there's a big difference between, in this question of what is the meaning of life, we can either get really nihilistic of like, there's no meaning.
Right.
Like, I've been there too. I think that there was a certain point in my life where I was like, there's no meaning. And that was a really deeply like dark and sorrowful kind of place, versus like, there's no meaning.
Right.
I get to do whatever the fuck I want, right? I don't know if I can swear.
Yeah, you can swear.
I can do whatever I want. There's like something there. Something that's actually delightful. And of course, you have like a deep responsibility nested within that liberation, or like, if we want to call it, liberated mind. But yeah, and the meaning, it's like life doesn't have to have meaning in order for you to, how do I want to say this? You can still live a meaningful life or feel fulfilled even within a frame of like, do you see where I'm pointing here? How do I want to say this? You can embrace kind of the meaninglessness of life and still find those things that like ground meaning into your being.
It gets really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to describe at
No,
that point.
it does. Yeah.
It's tricky because then it becomes about words like self and ego and other things. Yeah. But I do think that on some level, there's something that wants to move through me.
Yeah.
And everything that I've done up until now, even though some of it has nothing to do with what I'm doing now, it completely relates to and feeds what I'm doing today. There's like this ongoing process unfolding that I think that process has meaning, even though it's an illusion.
Yes.
It has no meaning at all.
You said it better than I could. Yeah, thank you.
So I think that I have to play out that meaning. And if I don't fight it, if I move with it and follow the flow and I don't push it, if I just, because as an artist, what it's like to push something.
Oh my gosh.
it's I'll let you speak to that. But there's something about when we just get in the flow. And as you said, then spirit moves through us.
Yeah.
Consciousness moves through us. There's something that unfolds there. And it's really delightful. And I don't even know that I would say it's pleasurable. Bliss is even a hard word for me sometimes. But it feels right. It feels like this is what I am. This is me. I am being me now. Fully, honestly, even though I'm not in my mind being me. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. You said it better than I could have with the almost like a sense of it is my work to carry this thread through all that I meet and all that I encounter and all that I experience in this world. It is my like duty almost to like thread this together into a meaningful experience, and that is a choice, But yeah, I have felt that difference between like the forcing it versus allowing it.
Speak to that.
When it comes to like, well, when it comes to art, but also life, this is another way in which art is a phenomenal mirror of the process of life, the process of making a thing. And we'll just use, something very concrete, for example. So like I'm working on a painting, and there will come a point where I feel ire towards this thing. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't love it. I don't want to look at it. I like don't want to interact with this. But I want what's on the other side. You know what I want this completed thing. I want to get there. And having to like trying to create from that place, and then just digging myself deeper and deeper into the hole of resenting the thing, resenting the creation, which is such a bummer. And this is why I kind of like to have multiple plates spinning at once, both in life and in art. I'll have like a few different paintings going at once, because I'll reach that impasse with something, and the only way through that is like actually stepping back a little bit and like unblending, like we were talking about earlier, holding that in my field of awareness without manipulating it or without trying to make something happen for a while. And then in that process of stepping back, like something becomes evident, like, oh, this needs to happen here. And then it's one aligned decision after the next from that point to get to, a finished product, which I could argue never happens, but, sometimes it needs that space of like, okay, I'm going to pause and
question for you.
Yeah.
So then, is it possible that experience of forcing and pushing and trying to get something going that then you had to put aside, and then later on you came back and something made it all make sense? So was that just part of the creative process?
The forcing?
Yeah. Was that supposed to happen?
I think it's sometimes our art, the best thing that it does for us is it gives us something to push off of in a way. So we generate so much like pressure up against the thing that there's no choice for us but to just get flung out. And like the thing like almost burns us and we recoil.
Right.
And that is part of the process. It's not other than. I think that that's a really important little, addition. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a, I mean, it doesn't feel like we're in the flow, but if you're making art, maybe not being in the flow is part of what makes the art so important.
100%.
So tense. Maybe that shows up in the art.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's a wonderful book, The War of Art, and he speaks, I'm forgetting the author's name, he speaks about the level of resistance that we feel with our art is actually just proof that we give a fuck, like that we care about the thing, because we feel this like deep like heart devotion to it, and we want it to be something special.
Yeah.
And so we get all of this resistance or all of this like intensity around it. We could call that passion too, and passion has both the like, oh my gosh, this feels awesome, as well as the like, fuck this, like I hate this.
Right.
I'm grumpy, like I don't like it. So it has all of that. It's a dynamic experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me how this feels important to you on your spiritual journey or on your journey, whatever, I don't know if you call it spiritual, on your journey of self-evolution. Like, how does this feel important to you?
The creative process.
Yeah.
For me, as I named, that mirror, the way that when, I create something or help other people create something, we have an opportunity to see our nature. Whether that nature is, obscured or complex or really clear and beautiful, like just it's this moment of this like checking in point.
Yeah.
I think that's a very spiritual experience. But I also think there's something here about the difference between just like making something and channeling something, like allowing a higher energy or allowing something greater than you to kind of come through you. And the surrender piece there feels like very spiritual, of like, okay, something wants to come through. I'm just going to make myself a vessel for whatever it is that wants to be said through this individual perspective of one. Scanning to see if there's anything else. I also think it's our way of saying thank you.
Say more.
To create is to celebrate our life and almost to act in reciprocity of like, oh my gosh, I was given the precious gift of human life, which is so ephemeral and, this like beautiful little illusion. It's like a bubble that comes into being and it's like soon to pop. And to create is to say like, thank you. Yes. I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to, make some paintings. I'm going to make beautiful music. I'm going to like have my family. I'm going to celebrate the gift that I was given with this life through creating some things and just continuing to move the energy that is miraculously appearing as me right now. Yeah.
I'm just curious. I'm going to just flip this over and say, how does your shadow express itself in your art?
Great question.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about astrology, but as a Scorpio, I'm not a Scorpio, but I have a lot of Scorpio placements. I'm a Pisces with a lot of Scorpio placements.
I'm a Scorpio with a Pisces moon.
So we're inverse of each other, which is so cool. We're yin yang right now. So I'm a Pisces sun, Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising, Scorpio Mars. And I think that my shadow is pretty dealt with in private. I do try to like kind of hermit away, I think, and not let it be seen in a lot of my outer world and outer relationships, this feels very vulnerable to share, but I think that it's something that I keep very private. It's like me and my therapist kind of know.
Sure.
And then I see the way that my shadow manifests in the world around me. Of course, reality is always giving me feedback. And I see my like shadow parts of like comparison or jealousy or like shame come up all over the place all the time. But I try as much as possible to like bring those harvests back home to myself and like sit with those things. That's why for me, like having my own space is so important, and like having an altar that I can bring that to every morning and every night and like actually be present with that shadow and like let it sit with me. Because if I don't, it will run the show, and I've seen it do that before.
So you are wrestling with your shadow.
Wrestling. That word doesn't feel quite right to me. Walking with my shadow. I don't really so much resonate with the language of wrestle. Yeah. I'm trying to be honest about my shadow and like have a sense of
humor about I really appreciate this. Yeah. What is it like to walk with your shadow?
Frequently seeing the way that my actions in the world are motivated from lack and jealousy and greed and selfishness. And just continually like checking in with that and seeing that and seeing like the kernel of that exist in things that I do. It's like, and humility, like just knowing that like that it's just going to be there.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to wage war against it at this point in my life. Maybe at some point I'll start to feel empowered to take on a more full hit on my shadow.
Can I give you some advice about that? Yeah. We could have another conversation.
I would love some advice.
But our shadow is not something to wage war against. Okay. And wrestling is only in that moment where shadow is saying, okay, I've rationalized and justified, we're going to do this. And it's your shadow. And you go, that's the moment where wrestling comes in. At some point, we have to wrestle back our power from shadow. It's like being the alpha dog, right? It's not a matter of feeding it or killing it. You can't do that. It's you. Everything that's in shadow that we confront there is all those parts are rejected parts of me, right? And none of them are bad. They've just been deemed bad. And that's why they're over there. And we're ashamed of them, and we put them over there. Okay. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to bring them back home and reintegrate them. Okay. So you can't wage war. Yeah. It won't work. It just pushes it deeper into shadow, and then it has more power that it will exert on you. Because every time it wants to do something, it just hijacks the system, and you go unconscious. So, yeah. So you're going to make friends. You're going to become. So when you said walking with your shadow, I love that. That is sort of the thing. At some point, you're going to have to wrestle power with it. Yeah. At some point, it's going to say, well, let's go do this. And you're like, I don't, okay. And you say, no. Right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would say maybe the biggest shadow piece that I'm presencing right now, that I hear its voice come through quite often, is asking me to run. Like when things get hard, instead of facing them, you run. And I hear that shadow part's voice pretty frequently. And especially in the last few months, I've started to be like, okay, what's on the other side of that impulse to flee when things get hard? And I actually know exactly the child part inside me that it's coming from. Yeah. Like the house that I grew up in when I was a kid, I didn't feel like safe, happy, or held there, really. And all of my dreams, not all, but so many of my dreams, recurring dreams about running down the street. I can feel it in my body now. Like running down the street of the neighborhood that I grew up in and never being able to escape. And so I feel this ancient child, like, fear body, in me that's like, run. Things are hard, you can run. Like, and she has so much charge, really, really powerful little being.
That's right.
And I have like awe and reverence for her, and she has run the show before in me. I think specifically in the last couple of years, there's been a little bit of that. I've been nomadic for the last 2.5 years. A lot of that has been motivated by like love and curiosity and exploration and a desire to see the world and learn new things and expand my horizons and meet new people. Beautiful, like pure, wholesome motivations. And just right next to that, walking with me, is the shadow of that little girl that's like, run. Things are getting hard. Run. Go to a different city.
Yep.
So there she is. Can't be beat. Can be walked with, I hope.
That was a great description. And thank you for sharing this, because it's a closeness I want to have with you.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really great.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you for trusting to bring that in.
Of course, it feels good.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to introduce you to that member of my internal family.
Yeah.
And have it be seen. Because certainly, like, I used to live here in Portland, and I got to see you all the time, and now I am in all of these different places. And I do trust that things are reaching more of a steady point as I integrate those members of my internal family.
Yes, and it takes time. It takes a lot of humility.
Yeah.
Well, it did for me. So
Yeah.
put that out there. Yeah. It took a lot of humility for me to be willing to look at these and meet them and work with them and grow with them, integrate them, just owning that they're there is the hard part, though.
Yeah.
So, I was particularly happy to talk about shadow because I have this opinion. Great art often comes from the shadow. I think some of my favorite artists had dark histories, had dark times. And so I think and I don't know why that is. Maybe that's the art I appreciate. It's not that I haven't seen beautiful art that didn't come from the shadow that I appreciated, but there's almost always something in there that I think comes from shadow. And I have one of your artworks, right? And it's not pretty and beautiful. It's dark and interesting and evocative. So I wonder where that comes from in you. So it's great to hear a little more about it. Because it does look like in the piece that, which piece I'm talking about?
Yeah, like fractured.
Yeah. And there's like almost like face type things that are kind of hiding and kind of peeking out. And it's just really cool. I think somewhere in there, that's Quincee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and there's that beautiful mirror of art, right? Allowing something that maybe we were not verbally or cognitively expressing to be present in the world. And I mean, that's a beautiful healing capacity. Yeah. And I think that the reason that art that is created from, maybe those darker pasts or those more shadow parts feels so good to interact with is because it like almost provides this permission to us. We're like, wait, I have that same like wrath and anger and rage and like desire to run in me too. And I haven't really given it, the opportunity to express through me. When I'm like, listening to this, like, for me, it's like death grips when I'm listening to like some really like intense music that's like very like harsh. I'm like, what a relief, right? Like, because I have that part. And someone is out here expressing that part in broad daylight and it's safe and it's okay. So that's a really special,
it is.
Special thing.
Yeah.
What musician is that for you that gives you that like satisfaction of like seeing a part of yourself reflected?
What musician?
I know you're a music person.
Oh God. What comes up for me is musicians. Okay, Sun Ra.
Yeah.
Okay, Pat Metheny. Okay, but mostly his straight ahead jazz stuff. Some of his sort of Brazilian stuff is cool too. But I mean, I'm kind of particular about my Pat Metheny. But complexity.
Yeah.
He makes it sound so easy, but it's really complex. And Sun Ra, he does everything from space age stuff to like down in hell. He's like, beautiful melodic to avant-garde.
Yeah.
And so that's all inside of me.
Right.
Right.
So in that music is your permission to be the full spectrum of everything.
Yes.
It's also your permission to be complex and like nuanced and multifaceted,
Yeah.
maybe a little confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
I like complex. Mingus is another one. Just people who are just like, they're doing stuff that at the time nobody else did, and outside the box. And so those are the ones for me.
Yeah. I hope that whoever is listening to this or watching this in the future can think about, artists or musicians that they access that provide that like permission to them, and kind of start to like maybe unpack like why that thing is why it touches them so deeply. It's really sweet to think about. I like that. So, and I just want to tell you, I have another piece of art from you. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Is it like something I painted? It's on your fridge, a little apple? Oh yeah, the tattoo.
I wear you every day. This neuron.
I forgot about
that you did stick and poke.
Yeah.
And so thank you.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You and Elise.
Yes.
Yeah. Tattooing has been such a gorgeous medium. And I really love the idea that the process of tattooing is this opportunity to call something in, and also to, are we good?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. The process of tattooing is an opportunity to call something in and also to let something go, especially with the stick and poke modality, because dot.
Yeah, it's very personal.
Ceremonial in a way.
Ceremonial, personal. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love to work with someone to develop an image that resonates on the level of like, oh, that is the symbol of my soul. So we go back and forth. We have an iterative process. We talk about what's alive, what's true of them, and land on something that's just a full yes. And that's just been it's been so fun.
I'll bet you're really good at that whole process too.
Thank you. It's really fun.
So Quincee, this has been such a delight. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you were in town at this point and we got to have this conversation. And I just want you to know I love you so much. And I'm so happy we got to do this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Maybe we'll get to do it again sometime.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I could sit here for hours and hours and hours on end. And I hope that this can be a jumping off point for us to continue talking about all of this and in this capacity and like being more involved. But I love you so much too. Thank you for involving me.
Yes. Thanks.
Bravo.
And thank you all for watching today. And remember, be good to you. The Crack Between the Worlds is conceived and hosted by Mark Wald. Produced, engineered, and edited by Lloyd Limmerman. Music composed by Kindly. A Turning on the Lights production. For updates, visit Crack Between the Worlds and our Instagram @The Crack Between the Worlds.